Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Divine Mother, 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 my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Divine Mother, 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 my divine mother. We'll take those words into meditation now. Meditate deeply. Dive deep. Sit up straight, spine erect, shoulders back, chin parallel to the floor. In the double inhale, tense every muscle in body part. Tense, tense, tense. Exhale. Double inhale through the nose, tense. Exhale through the mouth. One more time. Bring your awareness of the spiritual eye. Feel your heart opened. Divine Mother, my divine mother. We meditate for 4 or 5 minutes.
Elena.
Please continue meditating as I read these words on service from Swami Kriyananda's Affirmations for Self-Healing. Service is ennobling. It is a way of offering our human littleness into the great reality that is God. Service should not be given with the thought that one is serving people merely. It should be given with an inward consciousness to the Lord, who resides in all creatures. When we serve others in this spirit, we find our own spirits becoming freed from egotism. Peace then fills us, in the realization that there isn't anyone with whom we need compete. What joy to think that we belong to God. Now let's affirm together, first loudly, strongly, and then we'll get softer and finally more inwardly, more silently. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. And now whispering, I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. And now mentally, concentrated fully at the point between the eyebrows, the spiritual eye, the center of Christ consciousness. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. One more time. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. Now pray with me silently. All that I do, Lord, I do for love of Thee. Accept the flowers of my service to Thee, as I place them on Thy altar of omnipresence. Om. Now we'll have our reading from Rays of the One Light.
This is a reading of Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. Week 19, The Secret of Right Action. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yoganada. One of the most famous stories in the Gospels is that of Martha and Mary. Jesus, visiting the home of Martha, was teaching while her sister Mary sat at his feet, absorbing his divine love and wisdom. Martha, meanwhile, busied herself with serving her guests and was upset with Mary for not helping her. Lord, she cried, doesn't it matter to you that my sister has left me to do all this serving alone? Please ask her to help me. Martha, Martha, Jesus answered, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. This story is classic, for Martha's complaint is very understandable, and not on the surface of it spiritually wrong. Jesus may well have told Mary to get up and help her. We don't really know that he didn't, considerate as he was of others' needs. But the teaching here doesn't concern the obvious dilemma of devotees to work for God or to spend all one's time in prayer. It concerns rather the attitude of the mind. Jesus didn't tell Martha, Martha, you are doing too much. He told her rather, you are letting your work affect your inner peace. That was the contrast, not work versus contemplation, but restless preoccupation versus peaceful absorption under all circumstances. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter, actions performed under the influence of desire are greatly inferior to those which are guided by wisdom. Happiness eludes people when they act from self-interest. Seek shelter, therefore, in the equanimity of wisdom. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Thank you, Shannon. So, as I said earlier, weaving these different aspects, service and Sri Yukteswar's birthday being today, and just wanting to honor that and who he was and what he gave to us. And Rajasi Day, and wonderful disciple of Master, and his generosity and his attunement, his humbleness, all these different qualities, and of course, the whole Divine Mother energy. So let's start with this reading from Whispers from Eternity, and unfortunately I don't have the book to hold up to you. Wonderful, wonderful book of prayer demands from Yoganada written. This one is entitled, The bee of my mind loves to drink from thy blue lotus feet. O Divine Mother, the bee of my mind is ever engrossed in thy lotus feet of blue light. It drinks the honey of thy motherly love. This bee will drink no other honey but that which is graced by thy perfume sweetness. O Divine Mother, flying over the gardens of my fancy, denying myself the honey of lesser pleasures, I have found at last the ambrosia buried in thy lotus heart. I have been thy busy bee. I have soared through the fields of many incarnations, breathing the airs of countless experiences. I will roam now no more. Thy fragrance has quenched at last the perfume thirst of my soul. And there's a lot of songs that I could have done today that Through Many Lives is a wonderful one. But actually maybe I will do that tomorrow. I'll put a little plug in for my sing-alongs on Mondays and Saturdays at 10:30 Eastern Time. And I love just getting familiar with old songs I haven't done in a while and just singing what people want to hear. And but anyway, Divine Mother. In India, the Divine Mother, of course, is God, and the Mother is worshipped. And if you know Yogananda's teachings at all, we have his worshipping of Kali as a Divine Mother. And in India, of course, there are so many deities that represent the Divine Mother. And it's interesting because recently I was just kind of made aware of the fact that I have an altar that I fold up when I'm not doing this, because this is the living room where I'm staying. And the idea of having people on the altar to worship, it was a question was asked of me. And for some people, it's really hard to understand. And the way I tried to explain it is that people, figures, and the gods and goddesses, whether they're mythological or real, they are all expressions of a higher consciousness that we're trying to embody. And some of them speak to us more, and we love uh, Ganesha or Shiva. And I actually wanted to bring Shiva into the picture today because to me, how I got to understand Yukteswar, so we just segued from the Divine Mother energy, and this being Mother's Day, I had to acknowledge that, and that our Yogananda is a very Divine Mother energy, Prem Avatar, avatar of love, divine love. And in fact, many people seeing his picture as I guess, yes. So David and Shannon have it there under Ananda Rhode Island, the autobiography picture of autobiography of a yogi. And he's got long hair and people think he's a woman. So he has that energy and that love. So all of us have that embodied that divine mother energy, whether it's to our animals or our plants or our tending our sick sibling or friend, or just, being kind and motherly, whatever gender or nationality, or whether you have children or not. So that is Divine Mother energy. And Yukteswar, on the other hand, Master had some strong words to say about his guru. And I couldn't find the quote exactly, but that he was very stern and disciplinarian and did not show a lot of love. And there are a few beautiful instances in his life where he did, and it thrilled Yogananda to get that motherly love. But mostly he was an avatar of wisdom, Gyan avatar, and he was a great, great, wise sage yogi, revered by many. And he wrote the book, The Holy Science. And so today is his birthday, and I wanted to just give a little nod, not a little nod, but a big nod, because when I first read autobiography and came upon these teachings 42 years ago in Encinitas, California, he scared me. Yukteswar, I would look at all the other masters on the altar, and I'd tune in and try to ask for guidance and blessings. But Yukteswar has scared me a lot of those early years, and then I just tried to open up to that. What is it? That it is being too stern and too strong. And I saw that energy of Shiva, of like, okay, as we did in the fire ceremony, Shiva is the god of destroying delusion. And you often see Shiva seated in lotus posture with a trident and a snake, serpent around his neck, and clad as a yogi in the Himalayas. So he's very austere. And but I had an experience that I want to share that helped me to also tune more into Yukteswar as that loving presence. And I was in Kashi, Varanasi, for the very first time. That's the oldest city in India, and it's where Master met his guru. And Yukteswar was there visiting his mother, I believe, and but his guru, Lahiri Mahashai, lived in Varanasi. And of course, if you've read the autobiography, you know the famous story of Babaji and Mataji and the meeting on the Ghat by the Ganges River, where Mataji implores, it basically says, you can't leave your body. And so Babaji pledged to stay in his body. So read that in the autobiography. I'm not going to go into it, but this is the setting, and it's a very powerful city. And I haven't been back there, but I had many deep experiences there. And one of the things there is the Golden Temple. It's a Shiva temple, very, very sacred place, and it's one of a few places where I don't really know. I'm sorry, I can't remember all the details of why these places are sacred, but different things have been found there that indicate that they were, touched by these great gods. So there's a Shiva lingam there, which is a long lingam that people pour water, milk, and flowers and their devotion into this. It's a symbol of Shiva. It's filled with Shiva lingams, but there's one particular one that's in, one of the holiest places in India, and it's the Golden Temple is surrounded by Muslim area as well, and so there's always police there. And so the first time I went, trotting down this little alley with a couple of friends from Italy, and I had my guitar backpack on my back, and I we got stopped and ID'd, and the big gruff Indian army officer, "What's in there?" I said, "Well, that's my guitar," and "Take it off." "Oh, okay." "Open it up." "All right." I open it up, and if you don't know my guitar, it's a folding guitar. It fits into this backpack, and it has a hinge so that the arm opens up. And he said, "Play it," really gruff and stern. So I thought, okay, I'm at a Shiva temple. I'll do a Shiva chant, and I just started playing a Shiva chant, and then people start to gather. It's a very narrow alley. People are gathering, and there's cows there, and there's people videoing with their cameras, right? This is about, I don't know. Swami was still alive, so I guess it was 2012, and and so then I played a couple of Shiva chants, and I'm trying to please this army officer who's like, and I could tell he's like, and he's play another. So then I play a Krishna chant, and his face, he just, you could tell Krishna was the one person he worships, and his heart, he just started. So then it was, oh, okay, great, put it away, sure, go on in. And so he went in, and unfortunately the line was so long that we couldn't get to see the Shiva lingam. And so part two of this story is that for the next 2 mornings, I went at 5 o'clock in the morning, the first time with one of my friends, and again, it was too early. Maybe we went at 6 or 7. And then the next morning I went by myself in the dark streets of Varanasi, which I would not recommend, chanting Jai Guru the whole way. And I got there and I got in, and there was a huge line that still, even at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, snaked out the door and around down the road that's the way this temple is. And somehow there was a smaller line inside. And so I got in that one, and I got pushed right through. There's kind of a very small kind of cement or stone block, covering over the Shiva lingam. I mean, you can come at it from both sides because it's kind of open, and there's 4 or 5 policemen or army people in there, like picking somebody up, pulling them in, and shoving them out. And there's like 2 people on each thing. It's quite amazing. And so I just went through, and I'm like, okay, I didn't feel anything. So then, because it was just too fast. And so then I circled around outside, and I just kind of came back in one of the openings, because it was like there were 4 openings on these big, huge pillars. And I just stood in the corner. So the Shiva lingam is there, and the guides are there. There's a woman over there in the other 3 corners. And I just stood there and closed my eyes and just prayed for a minute and tried to feel the energy of Shiva. And then I looked, there was a clock up there, and I looked and I said, okay, well, I'm just going to chant I'm going to chant a Shiva chant and just see what happens. So I just started chanting, and then I started going through every single Shiva chant I knew. And I looked at the clock after 10 minutes, and still busy, grabbing a 90-year-old grandmother, great-grandmother, putting her down, picking her up, shoving her out the door. Here's a little American yogi trying to just singing there, chanting, blissed out, not meeting eye contact with any of them, just mostly closing my eyes. And then, again, there's a strong looking woman there, someone there, a couple of priests on the floor, another couple, maybe you get the picture. It's just pretty wild and loud. And I'm just chanting very, very softly from my heart, and just every Shiva chant I knew. And 10 minutes went by, 20 minutes, half an hour. Every time I'd open my eyes, I'm like, wow, they're letting me pee in here. They're shoving all these other people out. What is this? Hour and 10 minutes. And I happened to catch eye with someone, and they went, and I'm like, but so during that time of chanting Shiva's name in various different energetic chants or devotional chants, and watching people pour all their devotion under the Shiva lingam, which represents Shiva, I just tuned into that incredibly healing, wonderful, devotional, inspirational, joyful side of Shiva, which, because I also associate Yukteswar with Shiva, that's how I fell in love with Yukteswar on a deep level. So that's my Yukteswar story. And we haven't even touched on the topic of Martha and Mary, but I'm sure it's been said over and over again. It's not the action and how you're doing it. It's the attitude with which you're doing it. And as it said in the reading, Jesus didn't tell Martha, Martha, you're doing too much. He told her rather, you're letting your work affect your inner peace. That was a contrast. Not work versus contemplation versus both and. But restless preoccupation versus peaceful absorption under all circumstances. So there's two things here. That is the restless preoccupation, that's work, and the peaceful absorption through contemplation. But having that peaceful absorption through all circumstances, whether you're working. And if you go into the attitude with working and serving, how shall I serve thee, Lord my God, with everything, with all my heart. And so having, whether your path is devotion, or whether it's intellectual wisdom, whether it's karma yoga, service, whatever it is, it's attitude with what you do it, with how you do it. And though my path lead me over desert sands, though it take me through bitter storms, in my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. This is one of my favorite songs, which I also do frequently in my sing-alongs. So let me just see if there's anything else I wanted to touch on. There's okay, lastly, we have Swamiji's birthday coming up in 9 days, and it's always my favorite time at the village, and it's kind of like everyone coming, Old Home Week, to honor our beloved friend and guide, teacher, who we've gotten so much from. So Swamiji is always, to me, the perfect example of what we're talking about here. Right attitude, the attunement of Rajasi Janakananda to Yogananda. Swamiji, of course, had always the greatest attunement, and even towards the end of his life, he would say, I don't know where, Kriyananda ends and Yogananda begins, because he had become so attuned to his guru, to his master. And his endless energy and enthusiasm, and yet powerful, deep insight and ability to be a channel for Master for such great works of music and writing, over 140 books, over 400 songs. What a great, great soul, and how blessed we all are to have been drawn to this vision that he created, and through with Master behind him. And so happy Mother's Day to all of us. Happy Yukteswar's birthday. Tuning into that discipline and that love, compassion, also devotion, and Raji Yoganada, great attitude of service and secret of right action, and our beloved Swami Kriyananda. So let's do the, Kelly will lead us in the offertory prayer, and then we will sing this song. I'll introduce it now. Another more direct Yukteswar story. This year when I was in Serampore, I was invited to come to Calcutta, and they actually paid for my trip and, took care of me for 5 days and asked me what I wanted, and I said I would love to go to Serampore. So we went to Yukteswar's ashram, and you can't get in because it's owned by his descendants, but you can walk right next to it, and you can see the balcony up there, where if you've seen pictures of when Master went back to India and he was with Yukteswar on the balcony with all the other disciples, there's even movies of this, just so profoundly moving to see them talking and walking. And of course, when he had his Mahasamadhi, and that's a whole nother movie. Anyway, we won't go into that right now. But you see that, and you feel the devotion. And then Self-Realization Fellowship has made this beautiful kutir for Yukteswar. So we went in there, myself and 3 other women from Calcutta, and I played Desire My Great Enemy, I don't know, for about a half an hour on the harmonium there, and it was wonderful. So we will sing this together, maybe twice, and I'll play it on guitar. And let's see. First of all, Kelly will lead us in the prayer for the offertory.
So let's take what you'd like to give and place it in your right hand and pray with me. Divine Mother, I offer to thee the fruit of my labor. Bless this offering that it serve as a channel to truth-seeking souls everywhere. Om, peace. Amen.
Desire my great enemy, with his soldiers surrounding me, is giving me lots of trouble. Oh, my Lord, is giving me lots of trouble. Oh, my Lord, that enemy I will deceive, remaining in the castle of peace, night and day, night, oh my Lord, night and day, night, oh my Lord, what will be my fate? Pranayam, be thy religion. Pranayam, give me salvation. Pranayam is the wishing dream. Pranayam is the wishing dream. Pranayam is beloved God. Pranayam is Creator Lord. Pranayam is a cosmic word. Pranayam is a cosmic word. Control the little pranayam. Become all-pervading pranayam. You won't have to fear anything anymore. 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 Desire, my great enemy, with his soldiers surrounding me, is giving me lots of trouble. Oh, my Lord, is giving me lots of trouble. Oh, my Lord, that enemy I will deceive, remaining in the castle of peace. Night and day, night joy. Oh, my Lord, night and day, night joy. Oh, my Lord. What will be my fate? Oh, Lord, tell me. Pranayam, be thy religion. Pranayam, give thee salvation. Pranayam is the wishing dream. Pranayam is the wishing dream. Pranayam is beloved God. Pranayam is Creator Lord. Pranayam is cosmic word. Pranayam is the cosmic word. Control the little pranayam. Become all-pervading pranayam. You won't have to fear anything anymore. 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 I meant to mention that they often sang that song in Yukteswar's ashram. So now we will have our Festival of Light.
Let us lift up our hearts in a festival of light. The essence of this ceremony has best passed down from ancient times, O waves that we are in the bosom of the infinite sea, joyfully together, let us celebrate our own greater reality. For now, by God's grace, our redemption is at hand. The promise has been given. The divine light returning anew to earth has given us power, as the Holy Bible proclaims, to become the sons of God. Into our hands have been delivered the sacred keys of awakening. Abundant now is our hope. The Lord, through the Bhagavad Gita, promised even the worst of sinners, by steadfast meditation on me, speedily comes to me. And again, in that holy scripture, he declared, even a little practice of this inward religion will free one from dire fears and colossal sufferings. And whereas suffering and sorrow in the past were the coin of man's redemption, for us now, the payment has been exchanged for calm acceptance and joy. And thus may we understand that pain is the fruit of self-love, whereas joy is the fruit of love for God. From sun and moon and all the stars, from glistening seas, high mountains, desert solitude, and vast fruitful plains, and from the hearts of mankind and of creatures everywhere, goes up in wordless yearning a prayer of redemption. Please stand and repeat after me. O mighty source of all that is, from sorrow lead us to everlasting joy. From darkness lead us to infinite light. From death lead us to immortality.